Hello, Dave here. Welcome to my place. I've been out testing a couple of Victory motorcycles, the new Highball and the Gunner. Here's a few things I found out. One of the many things I've learned from working at Heavy Duty magazine is that in some cases all it takes is a few minor modifications to change the way owners feel about their bikes and the way they ride them. When two examples of new Victory cruisers ended up in my garage for a few days, I found firsthand that rule can apply to stock bikes too. That's not to say I didn't enjoy either one of the Highball Flames or the new Gunner. I liked them a lot. Both are enjoyable machines and both appear quite similar if you only read the specification sheet. But it was a case of where and when I rode them that turned out to be quite different. Firstly, both bikes are good off-the-shelf solutions for ham-fisted mechanics like me. You can use them as a starting point for a Wilder Custom, or tart them up from the Victory parts and accessories catalogue, and you've got a tasty bobber-style cruiser from the moment you ride it off the showroom floor. Good to go. Yeah, I know. Where's the customizer's art in that? But I'm not gifted like some great builders, and I'm still at the righty-tighty, lefty-loosey stage with my mechanicals, so good to go just works fine for me. Same yet different? Well, both bikes share Victory's familiar 106 cubic inch engine. They run a 1731cc single overhead cam with 4 valves per cylinder and have a self-adjusting cam chain and hydraulic lifters. Shims be gone. Hello 8K service intervals. Both bikes have virtually the same frame, geometry and everything else on the spec sheet. Both rock 16-inch wheels front and rear with 130 section front tyres. The Highball differs slightly in that it has a 150 rear section against the Gunner's 140, but the rake is identical at 32 degrees and so is the wheelbase at 1647mm. Same with the 300mm single disc brakes front and back. There's no ABS, which some might see as an omission, but it's really in keeping with the just the basics attitude of both bikes. There is plenty of modern tech on board, like the numerous functions of the trip computer and the other data available on the LCD display housed in the Speedo. But these are not your bikes if lots of buttons or big bodywork are your things. It's what you see is what you get. The suspension features 43mm telescopic forks with 130mm of travel and a preload adjustable monoshock with rising rate linkage on the rear, offering 75mm of travel. Same bike for all intents? Well, maybe it was just the nut that connects the handlebars to the seat that made the difference, because I rode these bikes quite differently. The Highball took me out cruising the city, mostly at night, while the Gunner wanted to head for the hills and go exploring. Both bikes are dressed and presented quite differently, but it's more a case of how the rider connects to the bikes that makes the biggest difference.
Well, here we are on the new Victory Gunner cruiser. I'm going to give it a bit here. Yeah, that gets up to operating speed very pleasantly. Sounds great. Ergonomics work very well for a tall guy anyway. These 8-hanger or mini 8-hanger bars are very pleasant to use. It's also got like a halfway between forward and mid control, so it's 3/4 control I guess you'd call it. Also gives a very good sit upright, very comfortable cruiser position.
The Highball has some of the apist style handlebars on a stock bike and has its foot control set further forward than the Gunner's mid position. The Gunner has the same handlebars as the Hammer model and they're pulled back and set quite low. The Highball has more chewed, while the Gunner chucks around more efficiently. The Highball test bike was kitted with the optional flame paint, wire wheels and had some very pleasant sounding aftermarket exhaust fitted. gunner was stock, although I'd be tempted to add $1,500 extra for the pipes to the $19,995 right-away price. The highball just felt like night. It said paint the town suede black under white and a vivid red flame paint. I spent a lot of time just burning fuel till the wee small hours, cruising the riverfront, downtown, back uptown, up to the valley, out to the airport, and really enjoying quiet time in the city and looking for pools of light to present a photo opportunity. I found the riding position on both bikes very comfortable, but the highball fits a taller rider better, while both share a short leg friendly 635mm saddle height. The mid-controls and lower bars on the gunner tended to make me want to counter-steer it briskly along a twisty road. Maybe it is the slightly narrower rear tyre working in concert with the fat front end, but the gunner will use its entire allowance of cornering clearance well before it runs out of handling capability. It's also 6 kilograms lighter at 294 kilograms dry. Neither bike is over-endowed with lean angle, but on the highball it didn't seem to matter as much. I was just feeling way too pleased with myself while riding it to notice, lost in a very pleasant purr from those upgraded pipes. Both bikes have surprisingly good range from the 17-litre tank, and the saddle is a lot more comfortable than it looks for the longer cruise. You get around 300 kilometres between stops. I ended up photographing the bikes in quite diverse locations too. The dark side of the highball took me in search of inner city light and grunge and street art. The gunner encouraged me to go exploring. On one jaunt, I ended up at Fort Lytton on the southern bank of the Brisbane River, and an opportunity to get some shots with some aptly awesome collection of really big guns. In all, these are two very capable cruisers. Very similar, but with a few aesthetic changes and a jigger with the ergonomics, they offer machines of somewhat different character. A test ride would be the only way to see which one suits best. Go and see a Victory dealer. They are keen to let qualified riders experience exactly what they're on about. Question everybody wants to know is which one would I go for? Well, I think I'd go for the highball because the ergonomics suit a tall guy better, but it'd be a tough choice. You'd really have to go and test ride one to know which one's the best for you. See you soon.